fellow collectors, and welcome to Long's Toys. Today we are taking a look at Deluxe Class Cyberverse Universe Windblade from the Transformers Legacy United line from Hasbro. So I have to say, I've done kind of a 180 on this figure. When they first announced it, it was kind of like another Windblade. I just kind of feel like the character is always omnipresent. But then I actually stopped and thought about it, and I really don't think we've had a proper Windblade since like back in Titan's Return, which is like 5, 6, 7 years ago at this point. I think she was in the Cyberverse line, since it obviously denotes it here on the box, but I don't even think she got a proper deluxe during that. I think it was just the warrior class, and that figure wasn't even that good. So I don't know, I just, for some reason, it felt to me like, oh, we just got one, but no, we didn't. So here we are, we have an updated Windblade, and I've kind of seen some things online, and now I'm kind of excited for this one. So nice artwork here of the vehicle mode on the front, some nice artwork of the robot mode here on the side. Got our standard, half of the mural picture here for Legacy United. Not really much going on the bottom. Got the Legacy United logo on top. And then on the back, you have your standard product shots of robot mode and vehicle mode. So let's go ahead, let's get her out of the box, and we'll take a closer look. Here is Windblade out of the packaging, and I think they did a really nice job with this one. There's really not too much kibble. You do have this little backpack here, but it's pretty compressed, and I don't really feel like it gets in the way of anything, which is kind of nice. But from the front, she just looks fantastic. The paint applications are really nice. The head sculpt is amazing. She comes with this giant translucent purple sword, which looks really, really cool. I'm pretty happy with this one, but let's get into it. So head sculpt right off the bat looks phenomenal. Really nice paint applications there. Now she has this little gold piece here, which actually is a separate piece that you can pop off, which can be a little easier said than done, but that's good because that means it's in there snugly. There we go. So the other thing is, this comes in the little tissue paper bag with the sword. And I almost threw it out because it's so tiny. So make sure you check that little tissue paper piece that they wrap these in, because it's very tiny and it's very easy to miss. I didn't know it was there, so I had to go back. Luckily, I hadn't, thrown it completely away, so I was able to retrieve it. But it's a nice little intricate piece, some nice detailing there, painted gold. I'm assuming it's cast in this black plastic and then painted gold, but looks pretty cool. And then she can hold this as a weapon, or like as a fan, I guess. She doesn't hold it amazingly, I'll be honest. There we go. I guess it's just finding the right angle. But there you go. So she can hold that. I think it looks better on her head, personally, so I'll probably just end up leaving it there. But you can pop it off, and then it just pegs right back in here to the back. Nice and securely. So the head sculpt looks really, really nice. You have all this light blue paint. The Autobot symbol there looks good. You have this kind of gunmetal gray color here. All the paint here on the shins looks phenomenal. A little bit of blue here on the wrists. And then you have black here for the back, which this is going to become kind of the front section of the plane. You have the little VTOL engines here, which can move around. So you can swivel them around. So if you like the look of the silver on the front, you can absolutely do that. Or you can flip them around. The only thing that's a little bit of a bummer is there is some like empty spaces here on the back of the wings, and that's the part of the wing that faces forward in robot mode, so that's a little bit of a bummer. Other than that, pretty good. You have these panels here on the back of the legs, so that's filled in, so that doesn't feel very empty. Even the legs are pretty solid. I mean, there's a cutout here, but it's pretty much filled in by the mushroom peg, which is nice. You have these peg spots here on the back of the arms, but that's for accessories, so that's not really an issue. It's really just the back of the wings that feel a little hollow. And then kind of a little bit here on the front of like the thigh area, which is also a little weird, but it's almost kind of stylistic. So you can almost kind of explain it that way. And it's really because the legs need to fold up for the transformation, so that's why it's hollow. But it's not hollow in a way that looks like they're skimping on plastic. Like I said, it's almost kind of stylistic. And because it's on the black, when you kind of look at it straight on, you really don't even see it. So all in all, pretty solid figure. She feels pretty solid. I like that. She's got a little flight stand spot up here, so you can utilize that in both robot and vehicle mode. You've got these connectors here on the bottom of the feet, so if you wanted to put in like effect pieces to make it look like, she's got rocket propulsion keeping her up, that's pretty cool too. A lot of different connection ports here on the bottom of the wings as well for accessories. So on the sides of the legs, she's decked out. She's ready for a full arsenal. Now you can see you also have these spots here on the side of the thigh, and you can actually utilize those to attach the sword, which is pretty cool. So if you want to have her have the sword on the hip there for that look, you can go ahead and do that, which is very cool, and you can do that on either side. And then, of course, the sword just pops into her hand and fits in pretty snugly, and it's a cool-looking sword. I think it's probably all done in the translucent purple, and then they just painted the hilt, but it works. I think that looks pretty cool. Articulation-wise, head is on a ball joint, so you can look up pretty far, look down a little bit. Turn side to side, no problem. Little bit of tilt side to side. You have a hinge and a rotation here in the shoulder. And the other nice thing is, because of this connection port here on the back of the shoulder, they have kind of like hollowed this section of the wing so that it can kind of move freely in that space without becoming a problem. So I do appreciate that. That section being empty makes total sense to me. It's just these little spots up here, but they're pretty minor. So I do appreciate that. They did kind of figure that out, that you can move the wing and that, you know, connection port there doesn't get in the way. You can move the wings in and out a little bit like this, and you can certainly swivel them up and down. Unfortunately, you can't like rotate them all the way around to put the hollow spot on the back, but still pretty good range of motion there. You got a bicep swivel, 90 degrees in the elbow. You got a wrist swivel. Got a waist swivel, and like I said, doesn't get in the way here with the canopy / nose cone area of the jet. Plenty of clearance there. Kick pretty far forward. Kick really far back. Again, backpack does not get in the way. Kick out to the side. Got a thigh rotation there. 90 degrees there in the knee. Now there's kind of a second knee, and that's really for the transformation. You can see that there's a tab here that pegs in that should keep that solidly together. So you really want to just utilize the one knee. You got ankle tilt. You got a little bit of front to back as well. So really good range of motion, honestly. The figure looks good, articulates well, good accessories. I'm very pleased. Like I said, I didn't know what to expect going in, but she's definitely wowed me. She'd bowled me over. I'm on board. This is a really good figure. They did a really nice job. Pretty happy with all this. Don't really have any notes. The paint looks good. The accessories are great. Articulation's good. She looks fantastic. But let's go ahead and let's get into that transformation. So if you have the sword in her hand or connected to the hip or anything, obviously you're going to want to remove that. You can leave this piece in, though. You do not have to take the gold piece out of the back of her head. That can completely stay in, which is nice. So we're going to start off by coming to the back here, and we're going to split this section. You can see there's an obvious seam running down the center. When you do that, part of the nose cone section will also come off. So you can see that there's a little bit on this side, but the bulk of it is over here. It does not split down the center. It's just this one little piece on the side. So you're going to kind of put this all the way out to the side, and then you're going to accordion this out, and this is going to flip up like that. Do the same thing over here on this side, like that. Then you're going to grab a hold of this piece here, which is going to unpeg from the back. It was pegged in on this tiny little tab right there. Let me zoom in so you can see. So that little tab right there was pegged in right there. So now that you've unhooked that, you want to make sure that you utilize this double hinge. So there is like a hinge piece here and then another hinge piece here, because you need to like keep this open enough that it can clear the head. There are these two red tabs right there and there that are going to peg into these spots on the side of her head. Oh, the light's not cooperating, but one's right there and one's right there. So we're going to bring this over the head, and you can start to move this up a little bit so it clears the wings. And then that's going to drop in, and then you should be able to close this up like that. Then you want to take the shoulder pads and push them down, and they can be really tight the first time. I don't know why. It took me some effort to move them down the very first time, but it's gotten much easier over time. So you want to just push those shoulder pads down like so. Then we are going to rotate at the waist 180 degrees, and the rest of this stuff can just kind of hang out here for now. We are going to take the feet and flip up these little wings on the side, and then kind of bring the feet down. Now, this piece here, which is going to kind of form the back tail fin, but also acts as a heel in the robot mode, it's constantly like trying to move the foot, so you kind of have to like hold one while you move the other and bring the foot down. So pop this around like this, and then you can go ahead and snap all of this together. Snap that fin piece there, and then flip that up, and if it flips the feet back up, just push them back down. So that way you have the feet down, you have the fin up, and then these actually just go to the side. I pushed that too far. They go like that. So next we're going to come here and we're going to lift up these panels. Now these panels are separate, so you can see that they are on like a separate hinge piece on the back of the knee, but it's kind of like the same thing with the feet. When you try to move this part of the hinge, this part's going to want to move as well. So you just kind of have to make sure that these are all the way out of the way so that you can lift this up and utilize that little slit I talked about on the top of the thigh so that you can bring this all the way up. And you have to make sure that these stay out of the way because otherwise these thrusters will hit. So get that all the way up to where that's supposed to go. And then you can see that these spots right here, the hand will just kind of grab a hold of them. So once they're all the way up, the hand should just naturally slide over top of those sections like that. Then you can just bring the wings in and they will peg into these little notches here on the side. So just bring this in and that will slot in very simply there. And then for the last thing here, you can see that there are these big slots here and they're going to peg onto these little spots right here. So bring this up and fold that and that'll peg in very simply there. And there we go. There is Windblade in jet mode. So pretty easy little transformation, but I'm pretty satisfied with it. I feel like the legs definitely really kind of nicely transition into the wings here. They don't seem super out of place. They've done a pretty good job of keeping everything about the same level, and it kind of blends in nicely. I think they did a nice job there. These panels here on the bottom, I don't mind. These sections here kind of act as like back landing gear, and then you do have a piece of landing gear here underneath the fuselage, which is, I will admit, a little difficult to get out. There we go. So once you pop that down, now you have the ability to rest nicely there, all level, which works well. Now I will admit you do see a large section of the robot mode here. You can see the chest and the arms pretty apparent. But I think they did a decent job of having the hands connect onto that section so that they sit in here pretty nicely. You don't necessarily see the fists. The legs are pretty nicely compressed. You can still move these if you want. So if you want to face these forward, you can. And the other thing that's kind of cool is there's not a great place for weapon storage. Like if you wanted to pop this just like underneath. I don't... Actually, this might peg in here. Okay. The directions didn't show that, but I guess technically that will peg in there. Or if you wanted to have it face towards the back, you could do that as well. But what the directions do show is if you split the legs here ever so slightly, just wedge them apart a little bit. On the inside here, there's a little spot, and you can peg this in here, and then close this back up, and there's another hole on the other leg, and then snap this all back together. And then you can store the sword there so that it looks like an effect piece. Like it's like a thruster effect piece, so, you know, it's, you know, propulsion, which I think is kind of cool. I think that's neat. I don't know if I'd always want to store it like that. I kind of, like, you can store it here underneath, which is a little bit more compact, but I do like that option of having that be like an effect piece for thruster propulsion. So that's kind of cool. And it's not super difficult to wiggle these apart just enough to pop this in and out, and then snap this all back together. But yeah, overall, I think they did a really good job with this. I like this quite a bit. I guess technically, I think because this is too small, you can't peg this underneath here. I mean, I guess technically, no, even there it wouldn't. So yeah, so you can use other guns from other releases. These technically, I think, will be too covered up to utilize in the vehicle mode. But you could certainly use any of, even these are somewhat covered up, but you might be able to get something in there, but you could definitely utilize these two on the ends. And you could put effect pieces here if you wanted to use propulsion there as well. So she's got a lot of options. It's a pretty good looking little jet mode. I feel like this is a really fun figure. It's in that sweet spot where the transformation is not too intricate but not too simplistic. It's fun to transform back and forth. The accessories are really nice. The paint applications are outstanding. Articulation's good. I'm really happy that they thought about leaving that channel on the wings because of that port on the back of the shoulders so that you can absolutely still move it around without any problem. I really appreciate that. I love the sword. I think that looks fantastic as well. Yeah, like I said, I don't really have too much to complain about this one. Legacy United has been kind of knocking it out of the park so far. I do kind of feel like this probably could have been like a Cyberverse Deluxe, though, and I'm kind of wondering why they waited so long to put this out. I don't know how long the planning stages have been. Maybe there were plans to put this in the Cyberverse Deluxe line and it just didn't get there. I don't feel like it's overly engineered in a way that it couldn't have been part of that line. It's just pure speculation on my part. But either way, happy we finally got her, and I really like this quite a bit. I didn't really do any size comparisons, which I just realized, so I'll do real quick. Here is Chase from the same wave, and then also here is Bumblebee. So you can see she's pretty much on par, you know, maybe not one of the biggest deluxes, but, you know, kind of the standard size, certainly much bigger than Bumblebee. So definitely a good size figure. Like I said, I love the paint applications. I think that might be my favorite part. It's just a really good color scheme with the little bit of gold and gray and then the blue and the kind of reddish pink just really, really working well together. So, yeah, I definitely like this one a lot. Definitely recommend checking it out. I mean, I'll be honest with you, I don't think there's a deluxe from this first wave that I wouldn't recommend. They've all been really solid, and I've been really happy with all of them. Going to be getting to the core class very soon, and I think my Tigerhawk is finally getting ready to ship. So, Wave 1 will be over before you know it, which is kind of crazy because I don't even think it was supposed to be out yet. So, but yeah, definitely recommend this figure. Definitely, especially the face sculpt and the paint on the face just looks so nice. It's just a really good looking figure. But let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Please like, share, and subscribe. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. And as always, thanks so much for watching.